I'm not going to tell you anything more about her. She is going to give you a talk herself, and I need you to listen very carefully to everything she has to say. So Judy, thank you very much for coming.
Thanks very much, Liz. Hi, guys. You know, when I walked into the school, which was my first time, by the way, a lot of memories came to me. I actually went to a Catholic school, St. Francis in Devon. And we had uniform that's almost similar to this. It wasn't as fancy as this, though. And this is way back about 43 years ago. And the other thing that I will tell you, I hope the teachers are not listening, is that I went to a co-ed school, and I met my life partner at high school. But what we then decided, my husband and I, is that our daughter will not go to a co-ed school, right? Just in case. So she went to Rodin. Prior to going to Rodin, she went to Devon Girls College because I'm originally from Devon. So yeah, it's actually I saw you. I looked at what you have at the entrance. And our motto was Ora et Labora, which is Latin for work hard and pray. I've actually prepared a short presentation for you. I've actually had the title Equal but Different, because that's very important to me. That our differences don't make us less. That influenced the thesis that I had actually conducted for my doctorate and the book that I published recently. And what I would love to do is that, because I'm not sure you'll be listening to me, I just want to make sure that you listen. And I have a small gift that I'll give to someone that I will deduce that they've listened, because I'll ask a question. Only 5 people can actually get the opportunity to answer, and I'll choose the best answer in terms of what they took out of the presentation today. Do you have a deal? Yes. Okay. So my journey and my motto in life is that if you can dream it, you can achieve it, provided you work hard, you stay focused, and just never give up. So everything I am today is because of believing and living that. That's me around 1963, 1964 on my mother's lap. And yeah, it's been a long journey. I'm 58 now, so you can imagine. Now, in life, there is always context. Right? When you meet someone, you actually, because we are judgmental, we are human beings, you look at them and you write a story already before they open their mouths, right? But the thing is, you never know their context till you talk to them, till you get to know them and understand them. So I always like starting with a context so that you get an understanding of who is this person, what has been their journey. You actually may not realize how lucky you are, right? Because you were born to a country that is politically free, where it's not a crime to be black, right? So this is what I was born into when I opened my eyes. And why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because your past, your context, your original, where you come from, doesn't define who you become and what you can achieve. It's all up to you, what you do with the gifts that God bestows on you, and just being committed to making your life a purposeful life. So I'll tell you about my journey very briefly. I actually don't even need to look at the slides because it's my life. I was born in 1959 in Westville, a suburb in Devon. As I said, I'm from Devon. I moved up to Joburg in 1998 because my husband had got a job in Pretoria. So the whole family had to relocate to Johannesburg. And when I grew up, you actually were very aware of race because it was legislated. Race had an impact on what you could do and who you could become. So I was very aware of people that, the people that looked like me were only domestic workers and gardeners, and in some odd way, because certain challenges in life determine actually your personality, I think, and the nurturing that you get from your parents, the things that they tell you about yourself, have an impact on how you view life, on how you actually decode messages that tell you something that is negative. So the way I chose to deal with the negative that I was dealt with when I was born is that I was very angry as a child. But my anger was not directed at someone. My anger was not being negative about life. It just made me ambitious. I told myself that the system doesn't expect much from me, but guess what? I'll prove to myself that I'm worth so much more. And that actually influenced what I did, it influenced who I became. I knew from the age of 4 that I wanted to be a medical doctor. I don't know why that was important to me, but the thing that I can recall when I was a child is that I started school when I was 4. My mother was a primary school teacher, and on one of the days, the lady that was taking care of me walked out on her. I was the last one in a family of 9 kids. And yeah, hey. So my mother said, oh, okay, I'll take you to school with me, and you just play with the kids, you know. And obviously, kids go to class and learn. So I had to go to class also and learn. So that's how I just got into grade. We used to call it first year those days. It wasn't fancy terms like grade 1 or whatever else. And so on this day, my father wasn't well. My father didn't like going to hospitals or to doctors. So a GP came to see him. And he actually looked in charge of his destiny. He drove a beautiful car and he healed my dad. And I decided, this is who I'm gonna be when I grow up. The beauty and what is actually interesting is that he was a man. So, but I didn't see that as a hindrance because I'm a girl, which actually says to me, the obstacles that are created, that girls are less, girls can be this and not that, those are things that are fed to us by society. When we are born, we just see ourselves as equal to everybody else. So I decided that is the journey that I'm going to take. I'll be a medical doctor. Just a brief history about my parents, where I grew up. My parents were very hardworking. My mother, as I said, was a primary school teacher, but she had to supplement her income. So she used to make snacks and sell to the pupils at school to make pocket money. And then she also taught at, in the evenings, adult education for domestic workers. Because quite a few of them couldn't even write their names. They didn't know how to actually, they couldn't see whether they are robbed or not because they didn't know how to count money and so forth. So she took it upon herself to give back to her community by teaching at night school for free. So that's one of the lessons I learned as a child, that in spite of your circumstances, because she was working so hard, you can always make time to actually give back to those that are less privileged than yourself without expecting anything in return. She also had a sewing machine and a knitting machine, and she used this to knit jerseys, make petticoats and children's clothes to sell over the weekend. So my mother just worked all the time. And for me, it was like, that is what is normal. You just work, you know. My dad, actually, I think I got part of that gene from my dad, because my dad didn't work for anyone, he worked for himself. In spite of the policies of the government at the time that told you so many things that you couldn't do as a black person, including owning a business, he actually had a small painting company, and he actually worked hard enough that he could save money and buy property in the few areas where blacks were allowed to buy property at the time. He would buy property, build flats, and rent them out. That would give him annuity income. And over the weekends on Sunday, my sister and I would go to church and then come back and sell at a tuck shop that he owned. So that is what I grew up seeing: hard work, honest living, and giving back. If you read my book, you'll actually understand what else my dad did to give back. I haven't got enough time to go into that. So that work ethic has determined who I have become. And education has been the pillar of who I am. I think that was informed by my mother's journey, who had a father who didn't believe that a girl child needs to be educated because they'll get married and leave the house, which is obviously silly. But my mother wouldn't have any of that. She ran away from home to a convent, and she got her education and became a primary school teacher. I guess that history made me realize just how important education is. So I did become a medical doctor as I had dreamt through hard work. And I then had a career as a general practitioner for 12 years in Devon. And after 12 years, I started a company called Dlamini Health and Wellbeing. And it's actually interesting because those of you who see business people and you actually don't know where they started, how they started, what informed their choice to be business people, what I've learned is that when you leave your professional career, it always helps if you choose to go to business, that you start with something that you know. Because there are so many lessons that you will learn from business, and it becomes a bit of a challenge if you're actually learning everything. At least your core is what you already know, and in my case, this was health. I knew health, I understood it. So if I was to venture out into business, I looked for something that I understood, and then I would play around with business and try and make sense of it. So my first business was in occupational health. And then 1994, one of the most important years in my life, if you leave out the birth of my kids, which is like up there, important because it actually changed my life. My dignity was restored because people don't understand the ugly past that we inherited as this country. It wasn't just about being told where to live and whatever else. For me, it was just dignity. I'm a very proud person. Proud in that I respect myself, you know? And that vote that allowed me to be a citizen in my country brought back my dignity. But it brought back a lot of things. It then allowed me to say, wow, what else can I do just to make sure that I get the most out of this political independence? So I formed a company I brought 10 women together and formed a company that I called Musa Women Consortium. But after some time, I realized that our value system wasn't aligned. So we remained as 4 because we had to drop the other 6, which is the other point, that relationships, whether they are just friendly relationships or business, have to be based on a similar value system. Money happens as a side effect of pursuing some common objective. And for me, value system has been one of the core of those. So I started this company, and remember, all I am really is a doctor. I've specialized in occupational health, but this is now outside my comfort zone. You remember I said, start with what you know? This I don't know. We want to invest in these businesses because there is now an opportunity for us to do that. And what I've always believed in life is that everything is possible. You just have to work hard, right? So, and I've always believed that everything can be learned. There aren't many things that are skyrocket science that you can't get your hands around. So I realized that I didn't understand what the corporate finances were saying, and I just thought, you know what, I can learn this, and then I'll understand them, which led me to do an MBA. So we as a family happened to move from Devon when my husband got a job in Pretoria, and I saw this as an opportunity to go and study full-time. So I sold my practice, and I went and studied full-time at the Wits Business School. It wasn't an easy decision to make, it wasn't an easy change to make, because I had grown all my life wanting to be a medical doctor. And I loved it, you know. It was like I have an extended family, my patients were part of my bigger family, and it was so fulfilling. But I was affected by crown outside my practice, and something died in me. But looking back now, because hindsight is 20/20 vision, I think I just tend to get bored. I love challenging myself. I love putting myself in awkward positions, because when I do that, when I leave my comfort zone, a lot of gaps are exposed in my knowledge. I then learn and then become a better person. Because if you stay with what you know and you don't try things that are different and you don't expose yourself to education or more learnings, then all you'll ever know is what you know, and then you don't grow as a person. So I studied the MBA, which was quite an interesting journey, which is for some other time. I've got a lot of stories, I just don't have time for them today. So there I was at the age of 40. That is when I got my MBA. And now I needed a job in corporate finance. Guess why? Because I had spent a lot of time with corporate finances, putting deals together, but I always doubted if they had my interest at heart. And I didn't understand much in terms of the language, because you were putting deals with big business and you were small business, and when you have a service provider, a consultant who actually is dealing with both big business and small business, chances of getting repeat business is obviously from big business. So if you are using those people, do they really have your interest? Because return business from you is unlikely. So I thought I'll actually make it easy for myself, because I'll just learn what they are about, I'll understand the language, which is why I went to HSBC. And that's where I met a certain Mr. Richard Norman, who was my boss, who empowered me, and I'm very grateful for that. Which is the other thing that I want to talk about. Relationships, mutual respect for people, because when you do that, you just never know what the future holds for you. You might meet that person 20 years from now, and they may change your life. I'm saying this because when I was at the business school, There's a lady who was from HSBC. She took a gap time to go and study an MBA at Perth. And she is the person who recommended me to HSBC. And which just goes to show that the relationships that you create will open doors for you. Because it was quite a challenge for me to make the transition from being a medical doctor to go to investment banking. So the MBA allowed me to have so many options, which is what the other thing that is very important in life. It's important to have options, especially if you get bored like myself, but more importantly, because it is so nourishing to your brain to know different things, to be able to do different things because you qualify to do them using education as a stepping ladder. So this is what education has allowed me to do. It has made me self-empowered. It has given me career development, career options, and just life options, and new networks. I was able, using the education, using the experience, using the networks that I've had, to sit on boards of Discovery, Aspen Pharmacare that I chaired between 2008 and 2015, and so forth, and Anglo-American PLC, which was quite empowering because it exposed me to so many different people, Americans, guys from all over the world. And that is so empowering because you just learn to know how other people from developed world think and how they do things, and that makes you a better person. It wouldn't be a life without challenges, right? And I've had a fair share of mine. When you look at people, you read about them in newspapers, you think, oh my goodness, their life has been so easy and they are so special. But the truth of the matter is that their life is similar to yours. Maybe they've worked harder and they just chose never to give up. I had an opportunity to address some professionals, and there were about 3 of us. One of the crowd said, you know, when people look at you, they really think you are so special because you're talking to them and you have achieved something in life. And she gave a talk somewhere apparently, and she told them about all the challenges that she had encountered along life. And she says people wanted to pray for her, they pitied her, so, which I found very interesting. So my challenge is don't need you to pray for me just for them, because God has allowed me to live with them and actually thrive in spite of them. The first one was failing at medical school. If you've done well at school and you think you are this bright person, you get accepted at medical school, during those days, during our days, it was a huge thing because we had to get certain grades, and there was not many schools where blacks were allowed to be trained as medical doctors. So you were all competing for this small space. So you really think you've got it all sorted till you fail, and you realize that you don't really have it all sorted. There are 2 things that you can do when you fail, is to actually allow failure to define who you are and lose confidence, or you can actually use the failure to teach you, asking yourself why you failed and making so that you overcome the failure. I chose that because I just don't give up. Doesn't matter what, I just never give up. And I skipped the one when my dad passed away when I was in the trip. Obviously that came with its own challenges, and money to go to university and so forth, but anyway. And business has its own challenges, and I won't bore you with that because we haven't got enough time. And yeah, I've had enough personal losses. I won't talk about losing my son because I'll start crying and it won't look good. But yeah, that's the biggest loss I've ever had. But what it did for me is that one of the things I feared most, not just as a child, even as a grown-up, as a professional, I'm very introverted, I'm very shy, I would never stand in front of people and say anything. You'd rather kill me. But I'm telling you, when my son passed away, what it did, it actually felt like, what more can you lose? You know? It just felt like I've actually lost it all. So what can I lose just by standing in front of people and telling them something? And the second thing that it did, it actually said, you know what? Life is so short. The third thing is that when you're gone, you're gone. It's so final. Whatever you've learned, if you haven't shared it, it goes with you. I then made the decision that I'm going to share as much of what I've learned as possible, because when I can't do it anymore, it will be gone. So that has informed a lot of what I'm doing now, but also just writing a book. So what have I learned about fulfilling a dream? You have to define your dream first. Commit to it. Action your goals, which is hard work and focus. Use others' success for inspiration. Instead of looking at people that are doing better than yourself and envy them, which is negative energy, look at them and say, I can also do it, because they can. And then that empowers you instead of the negative energy that drains and doesn't really do anything for you or anyone else for that matter. Have a positive attitude. When I talk to young professionals, one of the questions that I get is that the people that you mentor, what is a common thread amongst those that have done well? And you know, when you get these questions, it makes you sit up and listen and think, because that just happens. Sometimes you don't understand why things happen till someone asks you a question that makes you focus. And what I've learned is that people that have a positive outlook in life do well. Where you see problems, they see an opportunity. Where you're actually pulling someone down or saying bad things about them, they support other people. And you will never understand the goodwill that you create when you support other people. My daughter is a beneficiary of the people that have supported along the way, and they'll be like, oh yeah, Judy's daughter, and give her an opportunity. You start at this age and be kind to the other girls, because you just never know what will come 10 years down the line. But more importantly, because it's the right thing to do. So a positive attitude, positive energy, always work. Never give up. This I love saying. Limits only exist in our minds. I leave all this because I don't have time. I still want to ask you questions. So this is important because we live in an ecosystem that supports us, that makes us who we are, right? Family supports, your colleagues, the other pupils, and the extended family. And for someone who's a professional or a working mother, the domestic help. Most of you who have domestic help at home, treat those people well. They sacrifice time with their families to make sure that your life is what it is. So always treat them with respect. Sometimes you forget to do that, and that is never good. It's very important to treat people well. The life partner, it's too early for you, but just one piece of advice, right? It's important that your life partner shares a similar value system to you, right? So when you do get a life partner, if you choose to do that, then it's important that they share a similar value system to you. I have to talk to this. In Africa, we only have two women that hold the position of the president of the country. The first one, the only woman in the continent that was elected because the one in Mauritius was nominated. Election is different because men and women choose you to lead the country, which is special. He's the president of Liberia. Her story is special. I'll be very quick. It's special because at the age of 17 she was married. So she was a bride, a child bride. At 21 she had 4 kids. The husband was abusive. She divorced. And you know what? She decided this is not going to define who I am. She enrolled, she studied, she had a master's, she look her up, Google her. Today she's the president. But not only that, she actually is a Nobel Peace Prize winner. Of course, it's up to you. Even when things don't go well, you actually can pick up the pieces and make your life awesome. Okay, I'll be quick here because the reason I decided to write a book for my doctorate is because I had an honor to interview 20 accomplished women across race and social class, just to understand their life journeys. Because if we are to emulate their success, if we are to change the leadership complexion in terms of gender and have equity where you have enough women and men leading alongside each other, we need to understand why do those that succeed. I don't have enough time, so I'll stop here and I'll ask no more than 5 people to just in one sentence say what they learned from what I said, from my journey. Okay. So Liz will help me here and choose the 5. Okay. So it's this one. Please stand. Okay, so please stand. Oh, okay. Okay, great. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5. Okay, great. Okay, guys. If I had, one of the things that I love to do is to allow you to ask questions, because we learn so much from each other when we ask questions, because then we're starting to engage. But we actually don't have enough time. We only have 5 minutes. So you go.
You can't let what people have said to you bring you down, and what's happened in your life in the past bring you down. And you never know what you can do, so you can't give up so easily because you have a short fight, so you just gotta let that be first.
I have learned that you should never give up, even though people may have set your expectations for you, but you get to choose your expectations.
I learned that no matter your race, your gender, or anything about you, you should not let that stop you from reaching your dreams.
You build yourself up, so no matter where you come from, who you are and who people dictate you must be, you are in control of your destiny, and you must hold on to your dreams and just persevere, grit, work hard, and it's worth it.
I learned you have to be willing to work with other people. You have to make connections in life so that you can go ahead in the future. And you have to be willing to learn new things as well and take in new experiences.
That was great, eh? And I'm going to be, it's hard to choose one. You guys were great. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll get your names from Liz, and someone will deliver your books to you. One of the things that I like, so this is the book. What I have outside is my daughter in the red dress. I'm the one sitting down, and in her tummy is my granddaughter who's now 10 months. This picture is important to me because it's 3 generations and we pass knowledge down generations. We do things and then our kids emulate those things more than the things that we say. So one of the things that's very important to me is to have the courage to stand and speak up what you believe you've learned from a lesson. I admire that, and I actually pray that you continue being as confident as you are, because that's one of the things that I learned. When girls go to a girls' school only, God, the confidence that they get, unlike co-ed, right? Do you agree? Girls walk, right? It is my prayer that one amongst you becomes a president of this country one day.